Hey guys, it's me again. In our last video we talked about making groups of 10. 1 plus 9 is 10, 2 plus 8 is 10, 3 plus 7 is 10, 4 plus 6 is 10, and 5 plus 5 is 10. And we could reverse that, and instead of saying 4 plus 6 is 10, we could turn it around and say 6 plus 4 is 10. We can do that all the way. But now I want to talk about how we can use this concept to help us add. Maybe it'll make us a little bit faster, and hopefully it will help prevent us from making some mistakes. So let's start with something fairly simple, and I'm going to write my addition problems or my addition equations. I'm going to write them horizontally because it will help me illustrate the point. I know we're all used to seeing them vertically, but I think sometimes it's important to see a horizontal equation because as you get older and get into algebra and geometry and beyond, hopefully some of you will go all the way to calculus. I never made it that far. You're going to see a lot of equations written horizontally. So let's start with two fairly simple numbers, or two at least single digit numbers. We'll do 8 plus 6. Okay? Now, yes, I can start at 8, and I can use my fingers, or I can count in my head. I could use touch points. Some of us have some experience with touch point math. All of these strategies will work. But if we begin to internalize, and by that I mean if we begin to understand and remember how groups of 10 are formed, we can save ourselves some time. And I'm going to do some drawing on here to kind of illustrate my point. If I'm adding 8 plus 6, trying to figure out what that sum is. In my mind, I'm going to start with my biggest digit, with my largest digit of 8, and I'm going to think, my thought process is, what do I need to combine my 8 with to make a group of 10? And what I remember is 8 plus 2 equals 10. Give me just a second, guys. I'm going to make sure we can see this. Perfect. Okay. So, in my mind, my problem is 8 plus 6. I've done 8 plus 2 because I know that 8 plus 2 is equal to 10. So what that means here is, and this seems complicated, and I know this will seem complicated at first, but keep in mind we're working with relatively small numbers. I used 2 of the 6 that I started with, so I'm going to take that 6 away. I'm going to take that 2 away from the 6 that I started with to make sure that things stay balanced. So 6 minus 2 is equal to 4. So now instead of 8 plus 6, I have the problem 10 plus 4, which I believe is easier for us to understand and comprehend. And if we wanted to go vertical like we're used to seeing it, well, 10 plus 4, my 0 in the 10 is just replaced by the 4. I don't need to count. I know that if I start at 0 and I add a 4, I have 4. There's no need in counting that. So I just know that the 4 slides right up, takes the place of the 0 ones that I have, and my one group of 10 stays the same. So 8 plus 6, in my mind, is the same thing as 10 plus 4, using what is called compensation, and that is equal to 14. Now, while this isn't a bad idea to jot these things down while we're learning to use this method, if you want to play around with this at home, I wouldn't expect you to do this in your work in school. It would take up a lot of space and quite a bit of time. But the goal is to start here. Start on a whiteboard, start on a piece of paper, start writing it down, and eventually to get to the point where this becomes normal for you, and this process, this 8 plus 2, and I'm going to take that same 2 away, that becomes part of just your thought process when you're doing addition in math. So let's look at another one. Let's look at another example of this, just so we can do a couple of them. Let's say we had, I don't know, 6 plus 6. This one is special because it's a double, and we actually in our classroom early in the year talked a lot about doubles, and hopefully you all still remember some of those doubles and what they're worth. But if you're not sure, and if you have remembered your groups of 10, I'm going to think, okay, 6, I need 4 more, so 6 plus 4 more equals or is the same as a group of 10. So, to make sure that I don't make the mistake, I need to take 4 away from this 6, and I know that 6 minus 4 is the same as 2. So now, in my head, at this point in my life, I can do this part of it in my head. The problem 6 plus 6, to me, is actually 10 plus 2, because I have compensated. I've done some trading. I knew that if I started at 6 to make a group of 10, I needed 4 more, and I knew that if I used 4 to make that 10, I needed to take it away from this digit so things stayed balanced or things stayed equal. So 6 plus 6 turns into 10 plus 2, which then, like I said, our one group of 10, which is represented here by this 1 in the tens place, stays the same, and this 2 slides right on over here and takes the place of our 0. So 6 plus 6 is eventually equal to 12. Thanks, guys.